Thank you all for joining us this evening. Thank you everybody for contributing. We got lots of contributions. Anything that's left over, we'll take and put it to August meetings, PlantForum. Okay, Kiamara, you're up.
I'm growing that little seedling right there. It's now a little over an inch tall, and it's a plant Linda and I saw in Patagonia. So that's Salvia revoluta, and that's what we saw in Patagonia, and that's my little seedling.
I love the texture on the leaves.
Oh, it's just such a stunning plant, and it's a daisy. It's asperaceous.
And you said the one on the mature one's about 6 inches or 4 inches tall, and yours is about an inch.
I would say the mature one are 6 inches tall. And you can see how congested one at a high elevation, wind-swept cold area is versus my under the lights, warm area. Those leaves should be much more compact. It should maybe only be a couple centimeters tall. It should not be that tall. It's scintillated, but I'm still happy.
It should be interesting how it to see how it matures, you know.
Yeah, we need to give it some harshality in there.
Report back, please.
Yeah, if I can keep it alive a few years.
We're crossing our fingers. Okay. And then is Sal with us? Sal got Romney Culturi, the Matilaha poppy evidently seeded, and she got seeds. So that's awesome. I don't know with her seed mixer or anything of that nature, but if we have time, we can hear all about that. Okay, Saxon.
I was walking through the garden yesterday, Sunday, and my Winifred Gilman, I noticed that it suddenly became bicolor. I don't know. Maybe Bart's not online, but anyone native plant expert, I'm just surprised. I didn't know what to. I thought maybe someone here would have some idea about what's going on here.
Well, where did you get your Winifred Gilman would be my first question.
Annie Daniels?
Because Betsy Klepsch is bicolor.
But it's not all of them. It's just a few of them. You see, most of them are not bicolor. Some are. I'll be, of course, looking at it more closely as the season goes on, but I'm just surprised. So I didn't know what, anyone had any idea. Is
it off of one branch, or is it the newer ones or the older ones, or?
No, it's one. There's a couple branches. It's one branch on the side. I saw just Roger jumped in saying propagate it. Well, Roger, come take cuttings. And Carol's online, so Carol might know.
She answered it
in the chat.
It says Kiamara is right. Some flowers of Betsy Klepsch are bicolored. Some are all white. Some are all blue.
Well, I'm not sure why this one is half. It just started this year. Decided to go a few of them bicolor. And if anyone wants cuttings, come get cuttings. Last month, people were saying their mattias were blooming in their gardens, and mostly in the wild. They're really small plants. Mine are 6 feet tall, and now they've just started blooming. And by the end of the summer, these plants will be 3 times bigger and falling over. They're just huge. So it's really fun because I don't water them. They come up all over the garden. But I think they're so cool. They with no effort and so tall.
Do they get fuller then, or just taller, or a little both?
They get fuller, but as they get taller, they'll fall over. I'm not going to stake them. I know last year was the first year I had them that went this tall, and they just fell all over the path, which is why they reseeded everywhere. But I like them because also the foliage is so fragrant. It's just a wonderful California native, and let's say with literally no effort whatsoever.
Thank you, Saxon. Judy, you're on.
So I was showing this Montbretia. We were at the Botanic Garden in San Francisco yesterday and looking at them saying, what is it, Montbretia or is it Crocosmia? And I did look that up because I remember there was something about why one is called Montbretia, one is called Burning Embers. But this one's called Burning Embers is how I received it. When I've looked it up, I haven't been able to find Burning Embers. There's something Ember Fire or something. But anyway, what did I tell you?
While you're looking that up, Roger H said about the Mattia that if it's mowed or cut earlier, they can be much more bushy. So you might give them a little haircut, Saxon, your Mattias.
Maybe next year.
I don't know. I can't find it now. Anyway, we'll move on. I think it was Montbretia was they're the weedy ones they call Crocosmia, and the ones that they, I guess, think are a better plant they call Montbretia. The other one is Buddleia lindleyana, and this is a plant that I got from someone at Western Hort. The information that I got says that it likes damp soil but for me, it grows in dry shade. And this is the size of the plant right now. Mine is about 4 feet wide by 6 feet tall. It flowers on new growth, so you do have to prune it in late winter to early spring. And I've heard if it gets too rambunctious, you can actually stool it and it will come back. And I did do that a few years ago and it did work.
Stool it?
Stool it. Well, you cut it down to like 1 foot high.
Oh, okay.
Like a little
Never heard that
stool,
term
like a little
before.
footstool. Yeah. And it suckers occasionally for me, probably because I grow it pretty hard in dry shade, but it has a reputation for suckering and maybe getting a little rambunctious and spreading around. Mine's is drought tolerant. It is drought tolerant after it's established, and you don't deadhead it because the flowers elongate like with other Buddleias.
Does it, what shape is it? Is it kind of vase shape and cascading, or is it
It's
rounded?
more kind of fountain.
Okay, nice.
Bobby says she got a rash from it. I've never had any problems with it, but I guess you can be sensitive to it.
I got a terrible rash from it. So I whacked it to the ground.
Ah,
Like
And
all
it's,
the
come
way, so
back?
you never saw it again?
well, no, it keeps coming up. It's a very persistent plant. It's almost weedy, but
it can be.
it's very beautiful. And so I was really unhappy not to be able to grow it. But my arms were covered with a red rash. It was
Ouch.
awful. So FYI, maybe wear rubber gloves or something just to be cautious.
Okay.
Good to
Yeah, I've
know.
not ever had problems with it. Okay. So I went to the San Jose Cactus and Succulent show. They had to cancel it in June. I guess something happened with the infrastructure there, but I am not real familiar with a lot of these, how can I say it, hybrids that they're coming out of Korea and Japan in particular. So I was pretty impressed with this one. So I got it. It's a variegated Graptivaria. And like I said, it's they do a lot of hybridization in Korea. It's the hot thing, I guess. So that was a good place to find something unusual. The other one is the Calilopsis. Anyway, I was not familiar with this plant. I got this at a plant exchange at the Santa Barbara Horticultural Society. I was in Santa Barbara with my sister, and it really flowers its head off, and it doesn't need much water, and it's got that really bright yellow, so you can kind of put it, someplace it really is. I think it's attractive, and it really draws the eye. And you bought it, didn't you, Ellen?
I've had it in the past, and it just blooms and blooms its little head off, and it again dry. And mine was in a little bit of shade too, but it can take full sun.
Yeah,
And it
mine's
was
is in full sun.
Really great, showy.
Yeah,
It's on producing.
keeps on blooming.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
And Daisy, look at that pot of bug-eating plants. Do you have any
Yeah,
mosquitoes in your garden?
very few actually. Yeah, the last few years is surprising. I don't know why, but the mosquito population seems to not exist in my garden. So, well, I think my plant was happy with the cold winter we had because they look especially vigorous this year. A lot of people are surprised that it's not a tropical plant. They're actually native to the eastern United States, starting in Florida up to New England. The fragrance attracts the insect prey, and they live in swampy, boggy, low nutrient conditions.
I didn't realize they were fragrant. Good fragrance or bad fragrance?
I'm sorry. I don't detect the fragrance, but
Bugs
it-
do.
the bugs do. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
And it's drawn into the pictures. And there's these hairs that those hairs make it impossible or nearly impossible for the insects to escape once they're in there.
A death trap.
Yeah. So
Sadly.
you can see there's some remnant flowers that are attractive, and then the pictures are just starting to come out nicely right now.
And they flower before the pictures really come out because they don't want to eat their pollinators.
Yeah, that's true. And here's the Spigelia was from another plant. This is a Lilium henryi, an Asiatic type of lily. And I planted it probably 15, 20 years ago, and it continues to persist. So it obviously can take our extreme temperatures. We've been having 108 degrees the last couple of days. It's supposed to cool down. And I don't know if you could tell, but the top of the stem is arching way down, and that's a sign of not receiving enough light. If it was adequate light, the stems should be upright. They shouldn't be arching over. This lily was discovered in central China by an Irish explorer, Augustine Henry. And the Lilium langkongensi is done blooming. As you can see, it was a very beautiful, small, pink, down-facing lily. And these are the pods, and you can see that some are swollen and some are pretty thin. And the ones that are swollen are probably been successfully pollinated. I kind of dabble in pollination of my lilies, and don't keep track of what I do, but it's interesting.
How long from seed to bloom?
Oh,
Kind of average.
probably 3 years.
3?
Yeah.
Not bad.
No. Yeah, I mean, that's if you take care of it. If you leave them in the seedlings crowded and don't do things on a timely basis, it could take longer, but I seem to not mind that. And this oregano to the left is grown from seed, and I think it was park seed, and it's called Oreganum ex hybridum, or rotundifolium. I've seen also Kurigami. I saw it in the nurseries before I realized seed was available. It takes actually quite a bit of sun or a little bit of shade to get it to grow healthily and to color up. I really like ornamental oreganos, so I'm pretty happy. The daisy plant is a Heliopsis Lorraine's Sunshine, which I planted a year ago. It's in very light shade, mostly sun. It gets regular water, and it seems pretty comfortable with the temperatures we've been experiencing. And I noticed today there were, I think, the long-horned bumblebee. It's a pollinator bee that was attracted to to
That's neat. Is that the foliage?
Yeah, that's the foliage, which is quite pretty. I used to love anything variegated, but I did finally get over it, and so I'm kind of selective now. If it's variegated, that's fine, but it has to be very attractive, and I felt this was kind of met my criteria.
Yeah, that's pretty special. So if that was, are these all separate plants in a clump, or would one bush?
It's one plant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
A few more lilies. I'm not sure what the name of this lily is, but it's probably an Asiatic type. That class does well in Sacramento. And I'm attracted to downfacers, which this one is. And as you can see along the stem in the middle picture are bulbils. And those are like miniature bulbs that actually they oftentimes fall off the leaf axil. But I picked a whole bunch recently, and I told Ellen, next time you have a tour, maybe we could distribute them. Well, some of the last ones that emerged or that I picked had tiny little roots on it, and I thought it'd be best to plant them. So I have them 25 pots of planted bulbils now, and there's like 9 to 12 per pot, and good for a year. You don't need to fuss with it. Someone told me from a nursery that it took 2 years for it to do anything, but she put it in a greenhouse instead of allowing it to go through a cold spell. And I think that was problematic for the bulb. It needs to go through a chilling process I think, for it to have the roots emerge. And then to the right is one of my Clarkias that I tried this year, and it's the Clarkia gracilis subspecies albicollis, or the white-stemmed Clarkia. It's the last one that bloomed this spring, and it's just about petered out. Didn't really love the heat we had recently, but I think it's really a beautiful one.
There's so much.
It is pretty.
Daisy, do you share seeds of that one?
Oh, of course. It's not an easy one to collect. It doesn't freely release the seeds. So right now I'm still waiting, for it to open up, the pods to open up. They're kind of stingy about releasing the seed.
Okay, well, I'll keep in touch.
Right.
Well, I'm hearing the church bells again, which means it's 7 o'clock. We have all sorts of fun stuff left for next month's plant shares. Okie doke. Thank you, everybody.